Part 44. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 431. When I saw Zio for the first time, I felt that she was very similar to the young Kingdi, that is, when she just turned into a human form. However, I didn't think much about it at that time, until you said you met Kingdi. Do you want to know the true identity of Zio? Li Bai looked at Xuanhuan and asked. Sir, of course I want to know. In that case, do you know the true form of Kingdi? Li Bai asked slowly. Although Xuanhuan didn't know whether this matter was related to Zio, he still answered obediently. Sir, I know the creation of Qinglian in the Chaos era. Not only that, everyone in the heavens and the worlds who knows Kingdi should know it. This is not a secret. Indeed, although Kingdi is called the Chaos creation Qinglian, he is not actually a creature of the Chaos era, but he just awakened in the Chaos era. Li Bai said slowly. Not a creature from the Chaos era. If so, we can only work our way back. Wait, sir, you don't want to tell me that the Green Emperor is actually the creation Green Lotus from the Taishu era, do you? Chen Yu's beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief. How could this be possible? The creation Green Lotus from the Taishu era is the first Green Lotus born after the Taishu era. It is comparable to the Taishu light and a series of other things. This is impossible. Sir, wasn't that Green Lotus destroyed in the Origin War? Then, Chen Yu asked anxiously. Yes, that Blue Lotus did perish in that war. However, I used some means to forcibly preserve a section of rhizome. And this section of rhizome is, the later Blue Emperor. So, in essence, Xiaoqing is no different from the Blue Lotus of the Taishu era. He can be both the Blue Emperor and the Taishu Blue Lotus. Then, I put him somewhere, and waited until the Chaos era, and then I reopened his spiritual wisdom for him. Li Bai said slowly, with a trace of guilt in his eyes. It turns out, there is such a secret in it. Sir, does the Blue Emperor know about this? Chen Yu sighed. With Xiaoqing's wisdom, he might have guessed that he is the original body of the Blue Lotus of creation in the Taishu era. Since the original body of the Blue Emperor is the Blue Lotus of creation in the Taishu era, how could he be destroyed? Chen Yu asked with great doubt. You have to know that no matter whether it is this Green Lotus or the light of the beginning, no matter how against the sky, they are ultimately the product of the primordial era. Forget it, I'll tell you about these things later, it's really troublesome to talk about them. By the way, do you know that the Green Lotus of creation has 5 major branches? Then, Li Bai asked slowly. Well, young master, I have some understanding. In the primordial era, the Green Lotus of creation was the main body, and then there were 5 major branches, all of which were transformed from the lotus seeds of the Green Lotus of creation. They are the Black Lotus of destruction, which is also the most powerful lotus seed, including the current taboo destruction and other avenues, most of which are derived from the Black Lotus of destruction. The White Lotus of purification has endless and majestic life force, and it also has the ability to purify all evil spirits, demons, etc. The third and fourth are the Red Lotus of karma and the Golden Lotus of merit. It is rumored that these two have now become Buddhas. One of the 5 great Buddhas of the country, but this news is just fabricated after all. As for the last one, it is the creation Green Lotus, which is also the most mysterious existence. It has appeared very few times. However, the top physique of the heavens and the worlds now, the creation divine body, seems to have its power derived from the creation Green Lotus. However, since a certain era, these 5 branches have never appeared again. Young master, you told me all this, can't you be referring to Zio? Suddenly, Xuanhuan seemed to understand something, no wonder Li Bai asked her if she knew the 5 branches of the creation Green Lotus. Your guess is right, but you are still too cautious. You might as well guess bigger. Li Bai glanced at Xuanhuan and said with a smile. You still want to guess bigger? Click, a terrifying guess flashed through Xuanhuan's mind, and then his body began to tremble constantly. It is estimated that only that guess can make a half-step creator have such a reaction. Young master, don't you want to say? Yes, to be precise, Zio is the Azure Lotus of creation, the second generation of the Azure Emperor's divine body, the Azure Lotus of creation. Li Bai nodded, his eyes flashing with an inexplicable meaning. Boom. This sentence directly made Xuanhuan fall into a dead silence. She had never thought before that Zio was actually the Azure Lotus of creation, and it was the Azure Lotus of creation that originated from the Azure Emperor. This feeling is like two mortal friends, and suddenly one day, someone tells you that your friend is actually a great emperor. This emotion is even more shocking. Zio turned out to be the Azure Lotus of creation, no wonder her talent is so enchanting. Haha, I used to naively think that it was because of me. Looking back now, I really overestimated myself. Xuanhuan said with a wry smile and shook his head. However, after all, Xuanhuan is a half-step creator, and soon accepted this matter calmly. By the way, sir, if that's the case, why did the Green Emperor give Zio to me? Isn't he afraid? Because he knew I would come, and he also calculated what time I would come. Of course, maybe it wasn't his own speculation, maybe it was someone else's speculation. Li Bai's eyes fell into endless depths. Impossible, sir, who in the heavens and the worlds can deduce you? Of course there is one person. Who, sir? The origin of innate destiny. Li Bai said lightly. You mean, the innate originator? Xuanhuan asked cautiously and terrified. Yes, it should be her. After all, I saw her not long ago. What the hell, sir, you have seen her, you and him, sorry, sir, I shouldn't ask. Chen Yu reacted immediately and broke out in a cold sweat. This kind of thing should not be a topic for her, a half-step creator. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 432. It's okay, you will know these things later. Oh, it's really confusing. The origin of fate. How many people around me have you buried secrets in? Is it just for the deal between me and you? It's really, really hard work. Li Bai said secretly in his heart. Okay, let's talk about these things later. Now, I want to bring Zio back to Wanqi Academy in the Immortal Realm. After all, Xiaoqing left many things there. These things may be able to help Zio awaken. Li Bai looked at Chen Yu and said calmly. Sir, we have no problem. But, where is the Haihuan clan? I'm afraid. Don't worry, I will give them a surprise before I leave. Okay, please call them two in. Don't reveal Zio's identity for the time being. Li Bai said slowly. Okay, sir, I understand. Then, Xuanhuan called Chenexai and Zio in. Sir, what did you say just now? It's been a long time. Zio asked with great confusion. It's nothing, Zio, don't worry. Xuanhuan looked at Zio and said with a smile, although he knew Zio's true identity, he still treats her as his own child. Yeah, I always feel like you guys are talking about something big and big. By the way, Zio, there is something I want to ask for your opinion on. Immediately, Xuanhuan looked at Zio and asked reluctantly. Ask for my opinion. That's right. No need, ancestor, I listen to you. Zio stuck out her tongue and said. Now, young master wants to take you to the immortal realm, are you willing? Xuanhuan asked slowly. Sir, is this what you think? Chen 11 on the side asked in surprise. That's right. That's great, Zio, please agree quickly, don't hesitate, you will be really safe when you get to the young master. Chen 11 said hurriedly, her eyes flashing with excitement. Zio, on the other hand, frowned slightly, then looked at Li Bai and asked. Brother Bai Yi, may I know the reason? It should be, it's not ordinary, maybe, it has something to do with me. Haha, your intelligence is somewhat similar to Xiao Cheng's. That's right, I'm taking you to the immortal realm this time to let you truly understand yourself. Li Bai said with a smile. Knowing, myself. Yes, of course, if you don't want to go, I won't force you. Brother Bai, I can go, but if I leave, I'm afraid. Then, Zio looked at Chinayu and Chinexai and said worriedly. Zio, don't worry about us, we will be fine. Yes, Zio, you don't have to worry about us, we will be fine for a while. Chinayu and Chinexai immediately comforted him. You don't have to worry, because I will give them both a surprise next. Let me ask you, if you two can break through to creators and explorers without any external support, how long do you think it will take? Li Bai looked at Chinayu and Chinexai and asked slowly. Sir, you are really making things difficult for us. To be honest, it may take an era for Chinexai to break through to the explorers. Haha, ancestor, you look down on me, I think it's even longer. Chen 11 said with a wry smile. How about you? The corner of Li Bai's mouth curled up. To be honest, sir, with my talent and other conditions, I can basically only be a half-step creator throughout my life. Going forward, I don't see any hope. Maybe this is the end of my road. Chinayu's tone was full of regret. Why didn't she want to break through to the creator? In that case, even if they didn't rely on Li Bai, most of their mermaid clan's crisis could be solved, as long as the master of the Haihuan clan didn't appear. Moreover, according to her understanding, that lord will only appear if the Haihuan clan is wiped out. Very good. Although your road may have really come to an end, as long as you still have a little delusion in your heart, it will be easy to handle. I can tell you clearly that now I can immediately, make you a creator and explorer. Are you willing? Hearing this, Chinayu and Chinexai said in shock. Sir, are you kidding me? Sir, please stop teasing us, it's really annoying. I'm not kidding, I'm serious. Even if I fabricate a creator, or even a ruler or a powerful creature out of thin air, it's just in my mind. Now, it depends on whether your desire can be achieved. Li Bai stared at the eyes of the two people, trying to see a trace of greedy desire in them. However, the result disappointed Li Bai. There was no trace of greed in their eyes. The reason why the two of them were not greedy was because of different reasons. Chinayu didn't want to and didn't care at all. Chinexai, on the other hand, wanted to reach the level of explorer by relying on his own strength. My lord, no need. Yes, my lord, no need. Chinayu and Chinexai did not refuse immediately, but gave Li Bai this reply after thinking for a moment. Oh, why, if you rely on your own strength, I don't know how long it will take to break through. Not only that, maybe you can solve the difficulties of the mermaids by yourself. Li Bai said with a smile, the flickering meaning in his eyes was elusive. Hearing this, Chinayu smiled immediately, his face was as beautiful as a flower. Because, I know that since you appeared, the mermaids will no longer have any difficulties, especially because of Zio, I said, right, my lord. Hearing this, Li Bai also smiled. Ha ha ha, yes, your mermaid clan is really good, especially you are very smart, and you also meet some of my conditions. If your mermaid clan is willing, I can include you as a chess piece. I think you should be waiting for this sentence. He, as expected, no idea can escape the guess of the adults. Chinayu said with a smile. When did you have this idea? It's those secrets that the adults didn't tell me before. I know that if we couldn't become your chess pieces, you would never tell me. You were just perfunctory before. Yes, your desire is stronger than I thought. Tisk tisk, I can't help but remind me of an old friend in the fairyland. Li Bai said with appreciation. Xuanhuan is really lucky. Perhaps only the two of them can understand the words between them. As for Chenexai and Zio, they are confused. Sister Chenexai, can you understand the conversation between the young master and the ancestor? I don't understand. Me too, confused. Zio pursed her lips and said, when the two of them were alone just now, something shocking happened in the Jedi, maybe. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 433. However, since you are my chess piece, your strength cannot be too low. Otherwise, even if you are exposed to some secrets, you will be swallowed up sooner or later. So, no matter what, I will raise your realm. Don't worry, there will be no side effects. On the contrary, it will extend your road. Li Bai looked at the two women and said lightly, everything has two sides. If you want to understand one side, you must give up the other side. However, it also depends on which side they want. Well, Chenexai and I will listen to the instructions of the young master. That's right, young master, I will listen to you. Chenexai didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The ancestor agreed for her. What else could she say? After getting the answer she wanted, Xuanhuan also let herself be manipulated by Li Bai. Then, Li Bai waved his hand, first set up a ban in the hall, and then said seriously. The process is very dangerous, you must listen to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Xuanhuan and Chenexai said very seriously, but nervously. Being serious is because of the upcoming breakthrough, and being nervous is also because of the upcoming breakthrough, the two have something in common. Okay, now let go of everything and remove all the seals on you. Remember, don't stop anything that happens next. Li Bai looked at the two women and said, then waved his hand, and in an instant, two rays of light sank into the bodies of the two women. In an instant, the two women felt as if they had entered a very mysterious state. Although they could not control their bodies, they could clearly perceive everything in the outside world, which was a bit like the soul leaving the body. Not only that, the two rays of light also seemed to be in their bodies, constantly filling their paths, as if they were dispersing the haze at the end of the road. In the name of Li Bai, I call the long river of time. Then, a ray of divine light flashed in Li Bai's eyes, and at the same time, he was wrapped and entangled by countless rays of immortal light that seemed to have intelligence. Wow, brother Bai, you are so handsome. It's really like a banished immortal, descending to the mortal world. Zio looked at Li Bai in front of her, who was like a fairy or a saint. To be honest, regardless of his strength, Li Bai's appearance alone is enough to make countless girls obsessed. When Li Bai's words fell, in an instant, it seemed that the entire palace and the Sea of Gigzu were constantly trembling, and wisps of mysterious power began to invade the Sea of Gigzu. Of course, this feeling is a tiny one. Except for the creatures above the explorers of the Sea of Gigzu, the rest can basically not detect it. In a small world of the Haihuan clan, a creator suddenly opened his eyes, with an uncertain look in his eyes, and a wave of aura that could dominate the universe continued to burst out. At the same time, the fate and cause and effect lines were constantly intertwined, trying to deduce in his mind and trace the root of all this. Gradually, the creator's brows were frowning more and more, and his breath gradually became cold and violent. How is it possible that I can't deduce it? I am a creator. After a moment, the creator opened his eyes, and in an instant, it seemed that countless rays of destructive light shot out. Strange breath, Where exactly does it come from? It seems to be time. Who is the summoner? Forget it, there is no threat to us for the time being, so let's ignore it for now. On the other side, in the palace of the mermaid clan, the two women suddenly felt a majestic and extreme time force, which continued to fill this space, and the speed of time seemed to be affected, and it kept speeding up. Then, a long colorful river broke through the void and flowed out slowly. The three women were shocked, because there were countless creatures in this long river, some powerful and some weak. These phantoms kept floating up and down. Even Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan saw their past figures, which were figures that stayed in their childhood. This is the body of the long river of time. It is really the body of the long river of time. The two women shouted in horror. In fact, the long river of time should not be a surprise to them. After all, they can also summon the phantom of the long river of time, but what they summoned is either a phantom or only a very small part. But the long river of time in front of them is obviously not a phantom, and a small part of the body, because the source and the end can't be seen at all. Only the real long river of time can't see the source and the end, only endless illusions. Then, a ball of light slowly emerged from the long river of time. It was the spirit of the long river of time. After feeling the breath of Li Bai, he said in astonishment. "Damn it, Li Bai, why is it you again? Why can't it be me?" Li Bai said slowly. "No, brother, we just met not long ago. I miss you, don't you miss me?" Li Bai said with a smile. "Go to hell, I don't miss you, you almost scared me to death when you were corrupt, and I haven't finished the mess you left behind. Li Bai, if you have any heart, you should also care about me." The tone of the spirit of the long river of time was obviously full of resentment. Didn't the collapse of the time node be fixed after I recovered?" Li Bai asked doubtfully. "The time node is fixed, but what about the rest? Don't you think that if a creature like you decays and drags the entire era to be buried with you, there will be no consequences? You know how much I have spent to deal with those guys. Damn it, they almost impeached me just because I helped you before. Thanks to me, I promised them that you would never decay yourself again, so I was at ease for a while." The spirit of the long river of time said unhappily, as if Li Bai had committed something unforgivable. At this moment, Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan were confused. Xuanhuan was better and could understand some things, but only a little bit. As for Xuanhuan, it was completely unimaginable. What decay itself, dragging the era to be buried with it, these are all things she can hear. Young master, actually decayed not long ago, wait, was it at that time? No wonder, at that moment, I actually felt that I was about to fall. It turned out, it was because of young master. Chen Yu was terrified and said with great fear. If Li Bai had recovered later, it would probably have spread to them completely. However, Chen Yu was getting more and more curious about what happened that could force Li Bai to decay himself and drag the entire era to be buried with him. Of course, all this can only be buried deep in her heart. These things are not something they can understand. Happy New Year, brothers. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 434. Why, don't tell me that you haven't conquered those old men until now. Li Bai said jokingly with a smile on his lips, his eyes full of fun. He naturally knew who these old men were referring to. They were nothing more than parasites in the long river of time. They were born in the long river of time and had no substantial body shape. They could wander around the past and future at will, and also controlled some things. Very important time points, such as some timelines about Li Bai, of course, are limited to supervision, and they don't dare to do anything. Although the individual voice is not as powerful as the spirit of the river of time, it is not necessarily the case if these parasites of time unite. However, fortunately, most of them have no intention of inciting rebellion. After all, they can only exert their power in the long river of time. If they escape the long river of time, they may not be able to defeat even a great emperor. Hearing this sentence, Timeless River suddenly became embarrassed and stammered. "You, stop talking nonsense. Humph, I am the spirit of the river of time, the master of the river of time. How can there be an old man that I cannot conquer?" "Oh, then why did you?" "Li Bai, you live by the sea, and you are so lenient." "I am respecting the old and loving the young." "You know nothing. Isn't this a rule that you mortals abide by? You also said that we are mortals of the human race, but you are not human." Li Bai said mockingly. "You are swearing. You are not a human being. Hey, it seems that I am not a human being either. No matter what do you want from me?" The spirit of the river of time said impatiently, if it were not for the deal with Li Bai, he would not want to meet him. For countless epochs, he has always suffered, and Li Bai always looked down on him and often deceived him, but I have to say, sometimes it works quite well, and he himself is really silly eating the pie painted by Li Bai. I can say it, but, you promise, you can't be surprised?" Li Bai said seriously. "Tch, you are looking down on me too much. After experiencing your own decadence, what else can surprise me?" The spirit of the river of time said disdainfully. "Okay, then," I said, "I want to summon my past body and future body." As soon as he finished speaking, the spirit of the river of time was suddenly stunned. After reacting, he roared in fright, with extreme horror in his tone. The entire river of time also continued to fluctuate, stirring up turbulent waves. "Holy shit, what the hell, are you humming crazy? You want to summon your own past and future? Why don't you die? This thing is more terrifying than your own decay." "No, absolutely not, don't even think about it, stop humming dreaming, Li Bai. I will never agree to it." Shi Changhe shook his head crazily and said, "Originally one Li Bai was enough of a headache, but if there were two more, it would be a waste. What if, one day, I can't think about it and just stop playing, self-corruption, 3 times the power, the spirit of the river of time cannot even imagine. I am afraid that even the river of time itself can be completely corrupted and disappeared. I'm not negotiating with you." Li Bai's eyes narrowed and he said calmly, with an undoubted pressure in his tone. He. Li Bai, ye. Listen, no matter how you threaten me this time, it will be useless. I would rather die in your hands than let your past and future bodies appear. You humming know how scary you are, you can't even control yourself. If the two of them appear in this era and something goes wrong, the long river of time will be completely chaotic. Those old men are useless. The timeline of the entire era will always be in a state of chaos. This kind of chaos is worse than the chaos world is countless times more terrifying. If you still want to kill me, then go ahead. In short, you will never agree. Besides, those secret spies and supervisors will probably take action to stop it. The spirit of the long river of time has a tone of generous death. However, it's really no wonder that he was the one who heard this request and would reject it directly without any consideration. Okay, I also know the result, and I don't have much confidence either. There was no look of disappointment on Li Bai's face. No, Li Bai, why on earth do you want to summon your future and past incarnations? Is it possible that there are still things that make it difficult for you, but, apart from these things we know, there shouldn't be anything that can trouble you? You are Li Bai. When Shi Changhe heard Li Bai's words, he breathed a sigh of relief at first. As long as this condition was not met, anything would be fine. Then he asked with great confusion. You think too highly of me. There are some things that I can't solve now. You also know that I don't know all the so-called things I'm looking for, even the future body and the past body. After all, I am me and they are them. The two sides do not affect each other, but the past body and the future body are fixed. The product after Teishu, if I hadn't awakened something, maybe my future body would also be my future self. But now it's different. I have a new fork in the road. These forks are the memories I'm looking for, and they can't be copied. They only belong to my current memories. The answer I'm looking for is to escape everything. So, I didn't put my hope on my past and future bodies. Li Bai said lightly. Since you know why. I just want to check if I missed something before I got the memory fragments, and explore the secrets that may happen in the future in different timelines. Li Bai said, shaking his head. Stop talking, I'm almost confused by you, I already understand the general meaning. This is also the reason why I can't agree to your request, because they are you, but not you. If you don't get the so-called memory fragments now, I can reluctantly agree, because the three of you are originally one. Although because of your special nature, the three timelines are different, at least they can still be connected together, but now it's different. Since you got the memory fragments, everything has changed, and I can't stop it. The spirit of the long river of time said slowly. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 435. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Since you can't summon me, can others? Except those with innate origins. Okay, just the two of them. Li Bai pointed to the two women next to him and closed his eyes. They are a half-step creator, a forerunner. It seems, they are not of much use to you. If they are used as chess pieces, the half-step creator can barely see a thing. Look. Oh, no, their physiques seem to be very special. They violate certain definitions of the law of the beginning. This should be the only one in the world. After sizing up the two women, the creature from the river of time said in surprise, then suddenly widened its eyes and asked in disbelief. Damn it, Li Bai, you don't really want a child. Oh, that's not right. Even with such a physique and such talent, it seems. Can you shut up? Li Bai rolled his eyes and asked. Hee, I'm just curious. After all, you've lived for so long and I haven't seen you give birth to a child. By the way, what is your purpose in summoning them? Then, the spirit of the river of time asked doubtfully. Help them improve their realm. Upon hearing these words, the spirit of the river of time immediately cursed without thinking. Li Bai, are you sick? To upgrade a half-step creator and forerunner, you need to summon me. Besides, you have many ways to help them improve. Isn't this something that comes easily to you? Nonsense, of course I can help them improve directly, but, you also know that this way, it is equivalent to their subsequent path being imposed by me. Basically, it has come to an end. Li Bai said calmly. Oh, I understand. You want to use your future and past bodies to help them improve their own path, not their realm. In this way, their path is still their own path, and nothing will happen because of your interference. Change, or even block it? The spirit of the river of time said with sudden realization. Chanayu and Chinexai's eyes were filled with wonder. This was a path they had never imagined. They didn't expect that there was such a method. Of course, they also knew that they couldn't do it at all, or in other words, it was estimated that only Li Bai himself could use this method. After all, not everyone could do it to summon the true form of the river of time. Just tell me if you can summon me. Li Bai asked impatiently. Of course, but I have to check their future first to see if they have broken through to creators and explorers. If not, you also know the consequences. Give you a quarter of an hour. Don't worry, it only takes a few minutes. 3 minutes later, the spirit of the river of time slowly said. Yes, their future has indeed broken through to creators and explorers. However, without your intervention, it would have taken them several epochs. Not only that, the price they need to pay is also very high. That's good, summon it quickly. After hearing this, Li Bai nodded and said, "You have to give me something in exchange." Although the two of them are not very powerful, they are still creators and explorers after all. If the future comes in advance like this, I will have to do a lot to deal with the aftermath. The spirit of the long river of time looked at Li Bai and said slowly, "Tell me what you want." Li Bai said with a smile, "Hey, it's very simple. There is something useful for me on the road to all realms." "Oh, don't worry about that thing, I will give it to you." "Then it's agreed, Li Bai, don't fool me this time. Why do you talk so much nonsense? Leave me alone." After finishing speaking, I saw that the long river of time began to flash with colorful lights, and began to fluctuate continuously. At the same time, it seems that this space has fallen into an illusion, a process that is constantly accelerating, and scenes of images of living beings floating and sinking continue to flash before everyone's eyes. Soon, from the source end and the end, two groups of light continued to approach the middle. At the same time, in two different timelines, the two figures of Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan seemed to sense something, and a long river of time appeared in front of them. And as if they were out of control, they were sucked directly into the river of time. After a period of time passed, two statues of Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan appeared directly in the hall. One morning fish is only the forerunner, the other is the creator. One figure of Xuanhuan is the emperor, and the other figure is the explorer. After they appeared, they seemed to be out of tune with this era. Not only that, a majestic and vast voice slowly entered the hall. "Creatures that do not belong to this era, go back quickly, otherwise." Before the sentence could be finished, the spirit of the river of time was heard scolding disdainfully. "You idiot, you are just a wisp of Taishula, how can you still control me? If you push me harder, believe it or not, I will kill you directly. Besides, why don't you look at who is here? You can control me, but how can you control Li Bai?" At the same time, the spirit of the river of time continues to exude a terrifying aura, an incomprehensible momentum. Only a quarter of an hour. After hearing the last sentence, the owner of the voice disappeared as if he had never been there. However, the incompatible aura of Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan still exists. "Bah, cowardly as a mouse." The spirit of the long river of time said disdainfully. At this moment, the two Xuanhuan and the two Xuanhuan looked at each other, and then each looked at the other three. "You, are me, no, how can you be so strong?" The past Xuanhuan said in surprise. "You, are, my past. You, Xia, are also the past and the future. What's going on, what's going on? Ah, I've met you, the ancestor of Xuanhuan, sister Xuanhuan, he, you were so young in the past, and your future is so powerful." Zio said with surprise after seeing Xuanhuan and the others. At this moment, Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan in the past were full of confusion, as if they were unaware of Zio's existence. After all, in that timeline, the Green Emperor had not appeared yet, and Gigzusi King had not disappeared. However, after seeing Zio, Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan in the future had their eyes instantly turned red, and they reached out their hands in disbelief and gently stroked Zio's face. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 436. You are, Zio. Zio. Zio, I'm sorry, Sister Xuanhuan didn't protect you well, I'm sorry. Ancestor, I'm sorry for you, Zio. The two shed tears of blood and screamed in pain. Ancestor, Sister Xuanhuan, what's wrong with you? Xiao immediately asked in a panic. She could feel the extreme self-blame in the two people's hearts at this moment. Okay, everyone, let me answer it for you. Later, Li Bai told several people why he summoned them, and he naturally learned Li Bai's identity from it. Morning light, past, morning light, future, I have seen the emperor in white. Chinayu, past, Chinayu, future, I have seen the emperor in white. The four of them knelt down to Li Bai without any hesitation. It seemed that whether in the past or in the future, Li Bai was an undoubted terrifying existence, affecting every era and every group of creatures. Lord Bai, so you want us to perfect the road for Chinayu and Chinexai now, right? Chinayu, who was in his future body, looked at his present body that was in a deep sleep state and said slowly. That's right, if you want to improve it directly without burying the road, this is the best way. That's right, I don't know if you can agree to it. After all, you also know the outcome of doing that. Li Bai looked at the four girls and said calmly. Sir, can you let us discuss this? The future body Chinayu said slowly. Nature. Later, Li Bai gave them enough time to understand what would happen in the future. What, ancestor, you are saying that in my timeline, the mermaid clan will perish, and Zia will also. Chinayu and Chinexai, who were in the past body, said in disbelief after hearing the story from the future body. Yes, at that time, although we had made breakthroughs in creation and exploration, we were still no match for the Haihuan clan. The two of us had a chance to escape because of the protection of the entire mermaid clan. However, in this time and space, because of the adults with the arrival of this, everything will change. I will never watch 11U in pain again without being able to fight back. Chinayu, who was in his future body, gritted his teeth and said with a trembling body. Chinexai, on the other hand, kept trembling with his whole body, as if he was about to be torn apart by pain. Damn Haihuan clan, damn it! Haihuan clan, we must destroy you. After hearing these words, Chen Yu and Chen 11, who had passed away, seemed to feel the same in their hearts, and they were dripping with blood. So, I know, this is very unfair to you, but I am willing. Needless to say, for the mermaid clan and Zia, I am willing to do anything. Chen 11, who passed over, said extremely firmly, with a look of pain in his eyes. Yes, I am willing to. The same goes for Morning Fish. Okay, thank you. Chen Yu and Chen 11, who were in the future, said with red eyes from crying. In fact, most of what they did was because of 11U, because in the future timeline without Li Bai's interference, 11U suffered inhumane things. The treatment is to protect the mermaid clan, so the two of them will cry bitterly when they see Zio again. Scenes of painful and unbearable scenes kept echoing in the minds of the two women. They also wanted to forget and let go, but they couldn't do it. For countless days and nights, whenever they thought of the despair in Zio's eyes, they are shrouded in inner demons, constantly destroying their dilapidated bodies and minds. After relaxing for a long time, Chennai walked over and asked doubtfully. However, I still have a doubt. Since the Lord in White has appeared now, why does it not have any impact on your future? Isn't this not in line with the law of the beginning? Let me answer this question for you. After all, no one knows this better than me. The spirit of the river of time said slowly. You are the spirit of the river of time. We. Stop, 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 don't use this. Why, your future will not change because of this, naturally because of Li Bai's special characteristics. All of this, if it were any other living being, except those with innate origins, it would change the timeline of the future and the past. Because Li Bai is a unique existence. He is the most special and independent individual. He has no fate and is not contaminated by cause and effect. You can also imagine everything about him as a timeline that only belongs to Li Bai. In this time there is only Li Bai in the line, and there is no living being, so his appearance will not interfere with the future of any living being. Li Bai appears at any time node of any living being and does anything. It will not change the future that has been set. It will only open up another future. Moreover, in this future, because of Li Bai's interference, no one can't change to explore, except me of course. So, do you understand? The spirit of the river of time said slowly. I kind of understand. Well, after all, we also know how terrifying the white-clothed emperor is. I don't understand. I'm a little confused too. If that's the case, why didn't the future body meet the white-robed emperor? It's obviously happened, and it can contact the white-robed emperor. The two past bodies said in confusion. Why are you so stupid? You don't understand such a simple truth. It's very simple. Of course, it's because although you have encountered the same things, you didn't wait for Li Bai to appear. I said that Li Bai is a very special and independent individual. He only has his own timeline. Only when he meets you in his timeline will he change. Damn, what you said, I'm a little confused. The spirit of the long river of time said. Okay, they are just emperors now, it's strange that they can understand. This past, present, and future are so complicated that those originators are a little confused. Can you expect Xuanhuan and Xuanxi in the past to understand it? Li Bai said slowly. Now you know what will happen in the future, and you know that you can change everything now, so are you willing to sacrifice everything in your body to help the present Xuanhuan and Xuanxi? Then, Li Bai looked at the past and future Xuanhuan and Xuanxi and asked slowly. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 437. Master Bai Yi, we are willing. That's right, as long as we can save Zio, we are willing to do anything. At this moment, Xuanhuan and Xuanxi, who are in a special state, are in tears. They naturally know the consequences of this. After all, they are their past selves and their future selves. There are strands of fate and cause and effect in their hearts. At this moment, the past and future bodies naturally felt this emotion. The future Xuanhuan then looked at the present body and said gently. You are lucky to meet Lord Bai, who saved you and Zio. I hope, you can fulfill our long-cherished wish. I don't want you to experience that kind of pain again. You two were the same in the past. After all, your time present has the same fate as ours. Lord Bai, let's start. Xuanhuan, in the future, thanks you for saving us and Zio. Then, the future Xuanhuan looked at Li Bai gratefully and turned his gaze to Zio, with extremely complex emotions flowing in his eyes. Okay, in that case, I will fulfill your wish. Li Bai didn't say any more nonsense. He waved his hand. In an instant, the past and future bodies of Xuanhuan and Xuanxi began to decompose continuously under the blessing of a certain breath. Goodbye, two pasts. Goodbye, two futures. The four figures, with faint smiles on their faces, looked at the present, the past, and the future, and said softly, without the slightest fear of impending death, only fortunately, 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 they could change everything in this timeline. Zio, future, you must listen to the adults and protect yourself. The last is the admonition to Zio. Yeah, Zio, got it? At this moment, Zio was already in tears. No matter the past, present or future, they are her favorite ancestor Xuanhuan and sister Xuanxi. Past, future, in the name of Li Bai, return to the source. Then, Li Bai said lightly. In an instant, the future body and the past body turned into sparks and poured into the bodies of Xuanhuan and Xuanxi. At this moment, the two of them didn't know how to express their emotions. After all, this was a sacrifice of themselves. Although the two selves were in different timelines, they were the real selves after all. After a moment, the two women felt that their paths were first filled with strands of power, and the things they had forgotten and never found were gradually returning. This was the effect of the past body. Then, another strand of power continued to pave and extend their path, dispelling the haze that had originally shrouded the road a little bit. A moment later, the second half of the road appeared clearly in front of them. This was the effect of the future body. Boom! A series of ear-piercing explosions continued to resound from the bodies of the two people. Endless spiritual power continued to surge from all directions, from the entire Gigzu Sea, and the entire world, turning into a group of spiritual power vortexes. At the same time, strands of terrifying auras that shook the heavens continued to spread outward. First, Chenexai's own path on the first step was completely completed, and then a new road prototype slowly appeared. This was the sign of being promoted to an explorer, completing his own path, and exploring the rest of the road. Next came Chen Yu. In front of her eyes, a miniature version of the world slowly emerged. Unlike the world now, this world was dead silent, with no stars, no creatures, no matter, only the constant passage of time and endless darkness. Just a moment later, wisps of extremely bright light shot out from various places, piercing the endless darkness, as if bringing hope and desire to the whole world. Then, stars as bright as the sun appeared out of thin air. In each star, countless roads gradually appeared, as if paving the way for the emergence of life. The basic meridians of the world have gradually taken shape. This is the creator. It is already possible to create the meridians of the origin world, but it is already the limit here. If you want to continue to create, you need a more powerful force to support it. This force is the master. Fortunately, this hall has the blessing of Li Bai's seal, otherwise, it would have turned into a pile of ruins long ago. Tisk tisk, Li Bai, I'm still very curious. Such two weak creatures are actually worthy of you using this method to improve your strength. The spirit of the long river of time sighed on the side. It's just an equal exchange. Li Bai shook his head and said. Equivalent exchange. They gave it to you. Yes, they did give me something. Damn, you still want it? The spirit of the long river of time said in disbelief. Why not? This is my thing. It's over, Li Bai, aren't you afraid that Xiaju will know and rush over to kill you from below? Xiaju. This is Xiaju. Suddenly, Li Bai figured out something, his face suddenly turned black, and he said stubbornly. What the hell are you talking about? I really want to pry your brain open and see. I'm talking about this thing they gave me. Then, Li Bai took out the fragment. Oh, who told you not to explain clearly? Let me see what's going on. The spirit of the long river of time took the fragment and looked at it carefully. After a long time, Li Bai asked. What, did you find anything? Well, a very strange fragment, there is only your breath on it, and it doesn't seem to have any other use. It's so strange. Li Bai, do you know what this is? The spirit of the long river of time said slowly. Nonsense, if I want to know, do I need to ask you? Forget it, it's your business, I can't control it. Anyway, you will know the purpose of this fragment sooner or later. By the way, Li Bai, I have another question. Speak. That little girl, why do I feel that she looks a bit like Kingdi? The spirit of the long river of time pointed at Zio and whispered. You're not wrong. I felt the same way when I saw her for the first time. You know the identity of the Green Emperor, right? Li Bai asked slowly. Which one are you referring to? The spirit of the long river of time asked uncertainly. It's good that you know. Zio is actually the second generation of the Green Emperor, the Green Lotus of Creation. Li Bai said lightly. Green Lotus of Creation. No wonder, I was wondering why she looked so familiar. But, she shouldn't have awakened yet. That's right. What do you think? The spirit of the long river of time asked slowly. I'm going to take her back to the immortal realm. Back to the immortal realm. That's right. After all, there is an Wanshi Academy, and there should be something left by the Green Emperor. So, are you planning to train her yourself? The spirit of the long river of time asked slowly. It depends on the situation. After all, I don't know what Xiaoking's purpose is in doing all this. I thought I knew them very well, but now I still underestimated them. Li Bai said with a wry smile. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 438. Despite this, you have to admit that all they did was not only for themselves, but also for you, the Emperor in White. In their hearts, they are like a father, Li Bai. The spirit of the river of time said seriously, and this was what he said from the bottom of his heart. Since he met Li Bai, he has seen too many creatures die beside Li Bai. Once, he thought with disdain that people like Qing Emperor were he is a fool who foolishly sacrificed everything for Li Bai. It wasn't until he spent countless epochs with Li Bai that he discovered that if he were replaced by Qing Emperor and the others, they would probably do the same thing, because Li Bai was worthy of what they did. Father? Maybe, I'm not worthy yet. No father would watch the child he cultivated gradually step into the abyss without being moved. Li Bai said mockingly. It can only mean that you haven't done it yet and you owe them. I can't remember how many living beings I have owed in these endless years. Some of their lives are as gorgeous as summer flowers, and a glimpse of them lasts for eternity. But in the end, I still let them be gradually destroyed. Time has buried it, and I have warned them many times that if they have anything to do with me, Li Bai, there will be no happy ending. No matter what, you have come this far, can you still turn back? The spirit of the river of time said lightly that he had seen Li Bai talking and laughing with many extremely terrifying creatures, making wine and talking about the world, but no one could truly understand all of Li Bai's life, and he did not try hard himself. Except for one person, Xiaju. In the life when Li Bai lost his memory reincarnation, Xiaju would always use various methods to dispel the darkness in Li Bai's heart. Look back. It's a very simple thing, and it seems very easy, but it doesn't work in my power. Li Bai shook his head and said. Okay, I won't talk to you anymore. Anyway, you know how to take your own path. That's okay. I'll leave first. By the way, Li Bai, don't forget to give me the reward this time. Don't worry, I won't forget it. Li Bai nodded. I believe you, you are such a bad old man, you owe me so much. After the spirit of the river of time finished speaking with disdain, he left the palace. On the other side, Chinayu and Chinexai also slowly opened their eyes. In an instant, a wisp of aura belonging to creators and explorers continued to burst out. During this period of time, they also completely took control of what originally belonged to them. Your own power? Ancestor, Sister Chinayu, you are awake. You have become even more terrifying now. Zio said excitedly. Yes, this way I can protect you better. Chen 11 smiled and touched 11U's head and said. You're awake. How do you feel? Li Bai asked lightly. Chen 11, Chen Yu, thank you so much for your kindness. We really have nothing to repay. If Master is willing, our mermaid clan will be at your disposal for generations to come. Chinayu said with great respect. It's okay, this is your own power. Even without me, sooner or later you will break through to this point. Li Bai said calmly, as if in his eyes, this was a trivial matter. By the way, sir, our past and future bodies have really completely disappeared. Chinayu asked with sadness flashing in her eyes. She still feels like she can't let go of all this. Well, you should also be able to feel that this is also human nature. Watching the past and future selves, sacrificing everything about oneself, completely falling into the past and future, whoever it is, would not be able to do so in a short time. Accepted within. However, I think they should be willing and have no hesitation. After all, in their timeline, they have too many regrets, and they cannot reverse it all. Now that they have this opportunity, even if I don't tell them, they will. It is your and their long-cherished wish to do that. From now on, your past will no longer exist. Everything will be completely erased in the long river of time. Only a few living creatures will have the memory to know. And your future, except for a few living beings, no one can peep into it. Li Bai looked at the two women and said earnestly, he was too familiar with the development model. Sir, if it weren't for your presence, the regrets we will have in the future will still happen. Yes, sir, all this is thanks to your appearance. After Xuanhuan and Xuanxi heard this, they said seriously. Actually, all this is not all because of my appearance. In those timelines, you didn't have the courage to contact me. And in this timeline, although you were extremely hesitant, you finally contacted me. So, all of this is actually the result of your own choices. Li Bai looked deeply, shook his head and said, Sir, I originally thought that as long as I endured hardship, I could become a master, but now it seems that everything is just an ant's delusion. Xuanhuan said in defeat. You cannot become a superior person by enduring hardship, and that is true in any era. Only by eating people. Which of those acquired origins didn't eat countless lives to get to that point? Except for mortals, the paths of all practitioners are filled with the bones and blood of losers. You are worthy of being a young master, you hit the nail on the head. Yes, if you want to avoid being a loser, the only correct thing to do is to eat people. Xuanhuan and Xuanxi sighed, the words eating people are easy to say, but it is so difficult to do it, as difficult as climbing to the sky. Okay, now that things have come to this, I should take Zio away. Li Bai said lightly. Afterwards, Li Bai turned to Zio and said, Zio, are you willing to leave with me and go to the fairyland? Of course, you can also choose to stay, I won't force you. He, brother Bai, of course I am willing, just in time, I have never been to a place other than the Sea of Returning Ruins. Zio said with a smile. Hearing this, Xuanhuan and Xuanxi blamed themselves even more. Sir, let us escort you away. It just so happens that there are many hidden eyes outside our mermaid clan. This time, I must completely blind them. That's right, I have broken through to the level of an explorer, and the ancestor is already a creator. As long as the old immortals of the Haihuan clan don't appear, we will no longer be afraid of any living creatures. It's time for revenge. Xuanxi said this with a blazing fire in his eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 439. How could Li Bai not know what they meant? He smiled and nodded and said. That's great. Let me see your strength. Let's see, is it really worth it for me to do this? Sir, don't worry, I won't let you down. Yes, sir, please don't worry. Then, Li Bai unlocked the seal of the palace and said lightly. Let's go. After that, several people left the palace. At this moment, outside the palace, the elders of the mermaids were still waiting for Xuanhuan and the others. After seeing a strange man walking out of the palace, they couldn't help but wonder. Ancestor, Xuanhuan, you finally came out. Who is this? A supreme ancestor asked doubtfully. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. It's just right that while you are all here, I will announce one thing. From today on, our mermaids will obey all the orders of the Sir for generations to come, and no one can refuse. After Xuanhuan finished speaking, he directly released a breath of the Creator's breath. And Chen 11 on the side also released the breath of the Explorer. After feeling these two breaths, all the elders and emperors immediately became horrified, their pupils kept trembling, as if they had seen something unbelievable. Then, there was boundless ecstasy and unconcealable excitement. This is, the Creator and the Explorer. I'm not wrong, the Ancestor has broken through, and the Ancestor Xuanhuan has also broken through. Ancestor. Ancestor Xuanhuan, you too have broken through. The Supreme Ancestor Nanyi suppressed his excitement and asked excitedly. Yes, with the help of the young master, we have successfully taken this step. You should know how to do it specifically, right? Xuanhuan looked around at everyone and said with dignity. After hearing this, everyone's heart seemed to be hit by a meteorite that could destroy the world, and they immediately knelt down to Li Bai, and they did not dare to look directly at Li Bai, who was like a god. The mermaid clan will wait for the orders of the predecessors from generation to generation. If you regret it, your soul will be scattered and you will not enter the reincarnation. Soul will be scattered, and you will not enter the reincarnation. Li Bai just stared at the emperors indifferently, and in an instant, a ray of sight that seemed to be enough to destroy everything fell on them. Suddenly, their hearts and minds trembled and cold sweats flowed. It was as if Xuanhuan was on their backs, making it difficult for them to breathe. Okay, do what you should do. Remember, today's events must not be spread, otherwise. Xuanhuan's eyes flashed with a dangerous look. Yes, Ancestor, we will remember it. Besides, we are not stupid. That's good, young master, let's go. Then, the figures of several people disappeared on the spot. After the space fell into a few minutes of dead silence, fierce cheers broke out and resounded throughout the mermaid clan, shocking countless mermaid-like disciples, who did not understand what happened. Ha 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 ha, our mermaids are finally saved. The Ancestor has broken through the Creator, the Morning Fish Ancestor Explorer. For us, this is simply a life-saving straw. Yes, we finally have the capital to compete, we have the right to speak, and we will never be restrained again. The emperors shed tears one by one. God knows how many grievances they have suppressed in their hearts for tens of millions of years, and now they all pour out. However, the Xuanhuan clan still has a master after all. That old immortal has been sleeping for who knows how many years. I guess he will only appear when the Xuanhuan clan has the power to annihilate the clan. Anyway, we can take revenge on the Haisha clan first. That's right. By the way, who is that adult? It seems that he is helping us. After all, the Ancestor and the Ancestor Xuanhuan were able to break through because of that adult. Shut up. Such an existence is not something we can discuss. We can only look up to it and just do our duty well. Yes. At this moment, in a sea area somewhere outside the mermaid territory, Li Bai and others slowly appeared. At the same time, Haishali's figure slowly emerged, and he said jokingly. Oh, it turns out to be the Ancestor of Xuanhuan, what a coincidence. I am Haishali, and I have met a half-step Creator. Haishali said respectfully to Xuanhuan. Although the two tribes are mortal enemies, Xuanhuan is a half-step Creator after all, and he still has to show due respect. How can it be such a coincidence? As soon as we appeared, you appeared right after. Are you not monitoring us? Xuanhuan said coldly, with a cold look in his eyes. I dare not, I am just curious, Ancestor of Xuanhuan, how could Chenexai suddenly appear here? You know, this is the edge of the Gigzu Sea. Haishali's tone was full of doubt. Where we appear, do you still need to care? You disgusting thing, I want to vomit when I see you. Chenexai said with extreme coldness and disgust. This time, he did not leave any face at all. Haha, of course I dare not care. But, there is no way. The Haihuang tribe asked me to keep an eye on you all the time. I was forced to do so. Please forgive me, the ancestor of Chinayu. Hais Holly did not get angry and said with a smile. Lawboy. Chinexai gritted his teeth and said. This, must be the most evil genius of the mermaid tribe, but I seem to have never seen this man. Hais Holly glanced at Zio and Li Bai and asked. What does it have to do with you? It's none of my business, but please go back. After all, if you leave, I can't explain to the Haihuang tribe, right? Please don't make it difficult for me. Hais Holly said with a smile, which was quite like a cold and poisonous snake in the dark. After all, with the order of the Haihuang tribe, he was not afraid that Chennai would suddenly take action, unless the mermaid tribe really didn't want to live. What if we don't? Chennai said expressionlessly. Of course I can't stop you. After all, you are a half-step creator. But I can't guarantee what the Haihuang clan will do after you leave. You are a villain who is taking advantage of the power of others. Chinexai said stubbornly. Thank you for the compliment. But what if we insist on leaving? Then, Chinexai changed the subject and asked. You. Before Haishali finished speaking, Chinexai released his breath directly. In an instant, the entire Gigzusi seemed to feel the breath of this explorer. As for Haishali, he was stunned, as if he had lost his mind, and his expression was as surprised as a dead pig. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 440. Explorer, how is it possible, Chinexai, how can you be an explorer? This is absolutely impossible. Not long ago, you were, a pioneer. You are not Chinexai. You are definitely not Chinexai, right? Haishali, trembling with fear. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I am Chinexai. Now, you can die. It's okay for you, a disgusting thing, to live for such a long time. Erase. After saying this, Chinexai's eyes burst out with extreme indifference, and she waved her hand. In an instant, the entire Gigzusi seemed to be boiling. The strike of the explorer was definitely not something that a pioneer like Haishali could stop. The next moment, Haishali felt that his pioneering road was gradually collapsing uncontrollably. This was completely one-sided suppression. At the level of the pioneer, there was no such thing as a challenge beyond the level. This statement was only for the ants below the emperor. The first is the first, and they will always be crushed by the explorers without any ability to resist. Chinexai, you are looking for death. Do you know what you are doing? Haishali roared with extreme fear, and his originally ugly face was distorted more thoroughly at this moment. He didn't look like a living being, and he was struggling in the abyss of death. Of course I know, I want you to die. You, the Haihuang tribe will not let you go. Do you think you can be safe and sound after breaking through to the explorer? Without the creator, your mermaid appearance is just. Before Haishali finished speaking, he saw that his first path completely collapsed, and everything about Haishali was wiped out. All this happened in just an instant. The annoying flies are finally gone. Chinexai exhaled a breath of turbid air and said that a demon in her heart was finally eradicated by her own hands. At this moment, her state of mind became clearer than ever before. Not bad, this ability is unique to the creatures of the Gigzusi, right? But it is only for the creatures of the Gigzusi. Li Bai nodded and said in appreciation. Yes, sir, but compared to you, it's just a small witch meeting a big witch. Chinexai immediately changed her face, very gentle, and said with a smile. It makes people sigh that women come to you quickly. Okay, in this case, it has also met my expectations. I will take Zio away first. I think you should be able to solve the following things. Li Bai nodded and said. Zio, you must listen to the sir, understand, otherwise, when you come back, you will have a hard time. Chenexai said to Zio, seemingly viciously. Oh, Sister Chenexai, I'm not a child anymore, I'm also a quasi-emperor after all. Zio pouted and said, she also has face. We'll meet again on the road to the 10,000 worlds. Remember, if something uncontrollable happens in the middle, be sure to contact me. Li Bai said very seriously. Chenaiu, remember, send a young master off. Chenexai, remember, send a young master off. Then, Li Bai took Zio and turned into a stream of light and left the Gigzusi. He, ancestor, do we have something to do next? Chenexai said with a smile. Yes, I guess they should be here soon. Get ready, Chenexai, are you afraid? Chenaiu said with a smile covering his face. Ancestor, if it was before, I would definitely be afraid, but now we are different. We already have the capital to compete, and they are coming. Chenaiu said seriously immediately. Sure enough, a few seconds later, extremely terrifying auras continued to surge from all directions. Afterwards, more than a dozen creatures appeared in front of Chenaiu and Chenexai. Chenaiu, where is Heis Holly? The explorer of the Haisha clan said angrily after not seeing Heis Holly. Dead. Erased by my own hands. Chenexai said lightly. Impossible, you are just a pioneer, it must be Chenaiu who did it, right? The explorer of the Haisha clan said in disbelief. Oh, really, feel it carefully. Chenexai directly released his own breath. Everyone's face changed drastically, this is the real explorer's breath, it can't be fake. How is it possible, how can you be an explorer, obviously? I must be dazzled. How is this possible, did Chenexai hide it? Hai Huangling's face was extremely distorted, his eyes were full of greedy desires. A few days ago, Chenexai was still a pioneer, and a few days later, he became an explorer. This is definitely something beyond cognition. No matter how evil the talent is, it is impossible to achieve it in a few days. There must be something that helped Chenexai, and he must get this thing. You are just an explorer and, do we need to explain to you? Or do you think, you can challenge me with a group of ants? Then, Chen Yu said lightly, a ray of terrifying pressure directly swept across the entire Gigzu Sea, and cracks on the seabed that stretched for billions of kilometers suddenly appeared. In an instant, countless creatures were dragged into the cracks, wailing and screaming. At the same time, countless old things in the entire world opened their eyes. After all, Chen Yu's pressure was not concealed at all. This is the breath of the half-step creator of the mermaid clan. What are they going to do? Could it be that they want to fight to the death with the Haihuan clan? Tisk tisk, your courage is commendable, but it's a pity that you are a half-step creator after all. And this is Chen Yu's true character. After all, to be able to go from the Gigzu Sea to a half-step creator, I don't know how many creatures she has killed and how much blood is stained on her hands. Besides, no matter what, she was also a half-step creator before, and not every ant can provoke her. In an instant, including Hai Huangling and others, their faces turned pale, blood spurted out, and irreversible damage appeared on their bodies. They felt as if their road was about to be buried. Under this terrifying pressure, they had no power to resist at all. They could not imagine that Chenaiu dared to attack them, and attack them when they were caught off guard, causing them to have no psychological preparation at all. Mermaids, it seems that you did not take my words to heart. Chenexai, although I don't know how you broke through to the explorer, it's a pity that you will die today. Chenaiu, you are the same, a half-step creator, and you are about to fall today. Hai Huangling said very coldly, as if he had already sentenced the mermaids to death in his heart. Alas! Then, a sigh from a distance slowly came into the ears of everyone. Under the Psi, countless weak creatures that were closer were directly decomposed and dissipated, and some other stronger ones also suffered irreversible damage. With the Psi, everything withered.